Diana. Hunting Wives by May Cobb. What do you rate?
Justify it, but I gave it a 4.
Fuck off. Okay, there is no fucking universe where this book is 4 out of 5 stars.
I had to caveat by saying that I really hated this book, but I'm still giving it a 4.
That's not how ratings work, Diana, but I gave it 2, and I actually think 2 was quite generous. I'm starting to think maybe 1.5 might have been okay. I think I gave it 2 purely based on my favourite character in it. My heartfelt sympathies to that person. But it is not a 4-star book. It is easily 2 stars.
Really
For sure,
hated this book.
you can justify it.
I hated this book, but I'll explain why I gave it a 4. But before we get carried away, welcome to Murder and Makeouts, where we review books, we count cocks, and we swoon over morally grey men. My name is Diana, and this is Ree. And this is our virtual book club that you can be a part of, where we read the book, and then you can circle back and listen to our chaotic opinions and thoughts on the book. The book for this month was The Hunting Wives by May Cobb, and I read this book in 2 installments because I got so angry and frustrated in the middle and was quite rude to my husband and family because I was so angry that I had to put the book down and was gonna do not finish it.
Yeah.
But
I read it in 2 days because I thought, let's get this over with. I need to smash this out. There was no point taking a break. I also encouraged you to finish it, but we can't be do not finishing our first book on the podcast.
Yes.
That would be appalling.
Yes.
But I smashed it out of pure just desire to have it over with, I think. And I also was about 50% through thinking, what is the point?
Yes. Okay. But before we get further carried away, we must start with our first segment, which is anything but a wine glass. So we love to drink.
Yeah. What?
And thought it would be funny if we started our podcast, because we obviously wanted to drink during this because it's part of the fun of it. We thought it'd be fun if we brought anything but a wine glass to drink in. So
would you like to go first, Anna?
Okay, I'll go first. Okay. So, I think in the introduction, we talked about the fact that one of us is significantly older than the other, and I think this is going to identify for everyone that I am significantly older than you. My first part of my thing, it's for those people who are listening, it's a base. It's a toy blender base, and a toy blender base lid and jug, and it in fact works. Anyway, so I've brought this as my anything but a wine glass contribution.
Oh God. Perfect. You know what? I think it fits with the theme. There is blending of drinks going on in the book.
Oh, yeah.
You've done a good job. See, I also tried to align to the theme.
Okay.
To say,
yep.
To say. And this may also just demonstrate our age difference, perhaps, as well. Unintentionally, but perhaps.
I hate how you keep bringing it up.
Me? You're really bringing it up. But I have brought a shot glass that says shots on the front, because there are themes of alcoholism in this book, and I think we should celebrate that.
Yes, I think we should.
Doing shots of wine instead of just drinking it. Well, I'll do the shots of wine. You can drink out of your baby blender.
And they do lots of shots. There's lots of alcohol. I think there are, in fact, also cocktails at some point. So, I thought that the blender kind of tied into that. We're now about to find out whether or not this is actually waterproof. It is. That's good. It does hold water.
Yeah.
I was just about to say, isn't it good to aerate? So I'm just going to give it a little bit of a whiz for those at home. Oh, look at that. I have to say that the amount of aeration is poor.
I'm not sure it actually swelled it at all. Cheers. I think it may have mixed it slightly. Oh, cheers.
Cheers. We'll have to say, drinkability is very easy to drink out of, and the wine's delicious. Thank you for the Adelaide... Oh, it's an Adelaide wine.
Yes.
Who's it from? Sparrow's Moon. There we go. If you hadn't already picked up on the fact that we're Aussie from our accents, you now know that we're Aussie. So thank you, Sparrow's Moon, for the Chardonnay. Again, also Chardonnay in the book.
A lot of Chardonnay.
Yes.
I'm not normally a Chardonnay drinker either, but I was like, you've got to for this type of book.
Yes.
And the women in it, they give Chardonnay vibes.
I'm sorry, is that because of their age? Because of like mum vibes? Because your mum used to drink Chardonnay?
No.
Better not be. I'm just saying.
Definitely not that.
Not an age thing, is it?
It's the unemployed lounging by the pool, ice in your white wine.
My dream to be
vibe.
that rich. I'd be such a good housewife.
Oh, absolutely. The aspirations to get rich, sure. The activities conducted.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that. Okay. All right, so book. We've done the book. What was the tropes in this book?
Alcoholism.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
I think I said that before, but yes, there is a significant amount of drinking in this book. An actual absurd amount of drinking, I would say. Yes. So there's definitely a theme of alcoholism. There's also a very strong theme of infidelity.
Yes.
And lying.
Yes, lying, deceitfulness, and inappropriate sex.
Yeah.
Or could we call it an age gap romance? An inappropriate age gap romance. But I want to talk more about that age gap as we get into it, because I have some views on it.
Views.
Yes, some strong views, but also some interesting perspectives. Okay, so yeah, so those kind of the books, and it is. I would not class this as a thriller.
No.
But it is a murder mystery.
There is a murder involved. You wouldn't know it. But there is a murder involved.
Yeah. So it's a murder mystery book, and yeah, but I wouldn't class it as a thriller. Would you class it as a romance?
No.
No, I wouldn't either.
It's a bit in between of being a thriller and a romance, because you don't actually care that much about that. In my mind, you're not actually that concerned with who did it, and it's more about like the relationships of the different people and who's like fucking who over and who's getting like. It's more about like how they all operate together, and then you're like, oh yeah, someone died.
I don't know, that wasn't good for me, because I read these books because I want to figure out who did it. Like, that's why I'm interested in it. So
Yeah.
and I think what I found really frustrating is the murder didn't happen until halfway through the book.
Yes.
I mean, we talked about the fact that I gave up at the end of chapter 34. That was about halfway. And for those of you that've read the book, without any spoilers, this is when they were, this was the spin the bottle time of the book. So the spin the bottle scene, after that, I got to work because I listen to audiobooks. So I'd driven to work and I stormed into work and Rihanna was there and everyone else was there because I was a late start after the school run. And I was like, I am so grumpy and angry and I'm pretty sure it's this book. And then I just vented for 20 minutes and distracted everyone.
Worthwhile though.
Yeah. And then I had to put it down for what, a good 10 days, and then I picked it up to finish it for this, because for two reasons. Firstly, obviously we do not finish our first book. Well, I felt I couldn't, but also secondly, I don't think you can genuinely rate a book until you have read the entire thing. And I was really grateful that I did read it, because all the interesting stuff happened in the second half.
Yes.
But yeah, so going to my rating, I gave it a 4. Now, the reason I gave it a 4, and I might have to save this for the spoiler section of our podcast. I think I will have to save my reasons for the spoiler section, because I don't think I can justify why until I get to the spoilers. I was going to rate it a 3, and that was a difficult 3. It was because I wasn't sure if we were doing half stars. But Goodreads now does half stars, so maybe we can too. So I was going to do it a 3, but then I felt the second half of the book improved.
Yeah, I gave it a 2. And like a very weak 2, not really like a strong justified 2. And I think I would have to talk about the specifics of that also in the spoiler section. But in general, I think I like a good murder mystery that has a murder occurring at the start of the book, where the premise of the book is a murder that you're trying to solve.
Yes.
And I sort of felt like I was being catfished in this one, because the first page is talking about it. There's a murder that's occurred. And then it goes on to just not talk about their murder for 50% of the book. I think that, without having any spoilers going on, was an unbelievably frustrating element to me.
Yes.
And I just don't care about these women.
Yeah, because it spent that first half of the book setting up the relationships and the dynamics, which I guess it was important then to understand how the murder played out, and that was important information for you to then start suspecting people. But yeah, I found the fact the murder was so late in the book frustrating. Now, we'll just give a quick overview of the storyline of the book without the spoilers. It centers around the protagonist's name is Sophie, most irritating person ever.
Yes.
We'll save it for the spoiler section, but most irritating person ever. There used to be Chicago. She used to be the editor of a big magazine of some kind, and they've moved to small town Texas with her husband, who's now the breadwinner, and their small son, who I'm guessing is like 5-ish. Remember exact age.
Quite young. There's a school element involved.
He goes to school, might be preschool, might be kindy, I'm not sure. So she's like 5, and she's a stay-at-home mum, and so now she's got her garden and her blog, and she's blogging about slow living, and that she wanted to move to a small town so that they could afford for her not to work, so that she could be there for Jack. And I will say, she is a very attentive mother. Like, when she is one-on-one with him, she is 100% invested.
Yeah.
But his existence and the fact she's a mother is kind of a side. It's not
central.
Not central. Anyways, they've moved to this town, and she obviously doesn't know anyone. She wants some friends. Or she has one friend, Erin. I can't remember how they know each other. They used to work together. High school, yeah, okay. And she's got one friend in this town, and she's moved there, and she needs to make some friends, and she meets this group of women. There are 4 women in the group. So we've got Margot,
Jill,
Tina,
and
Callie, and she wants to become good friends with them, and she does. And these 4 women are the hunting wives, and they go out and shoot. What's it called? When you shoot the discs up? Skeet. Yes.
Yeah.
They shoot, skeet, and drink once a week or once a fortnight or whatever. And so that's kind of like the foundation of the relationships in the storyline. And then murder occurs, and the question is, who done it? And the book goes from there. But like I said, that relationship and the hunting wives and their first couple of excursions out skeeting, if that's what you call it, takes up the first 50% of the book. So it's like, what are we doing here?
Yes. And there are reveals about personality types, all of that sort of like...
There's the jealousy theme.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements of building about who these women are, why we should care about them, and why they're all different to each other, and some of the behaviours and actions they get up to in the first 50% of the book, which is really supposed to be, I guess, who they are as people, and I would say turning everyone away.
Me off. Yes. And I would say that I'm a pretty liberal, open-minded person, and I was still not icked. I wasn't icked, but I was like, pathetic. And pathetic sums it up. I just felt they were pathetic. So
that's our review without
that's a review without
trying to spoil anything. Yeah.
Would I recommend this book to people? No.
Probably not.
No.
I'd recommend it to be fair, I would recommend it to book clubs specifically.
Yes, that's a good point.
Because it is divisive.
Yes.
I think there are elements of it that some people will absolutely back in and ride or die for some of these characters.
Yeah.
And there are elements that you would just start fights over.
Yeah. I wondered actually if you and I were going to have different opinions because, this is a group of women who are sort of married with husbands and they're getting up to mischievous. And I am a woman of a few years younger than this group of women, but I am of this general age of these women and certainly the same generation, and I'm at the same stage of life, married with kids, primary school. And so I was wondering if we were going to have different opinions and that you might be like, oh, it's fine, but we didn't. We both hated it.
Well, I think it's probably important to note that while you are quite open-minded and liberal about stuff, I would probably argue that I'm quite conservative and slightly prudish about stuff. So I actually, in reading this, was horrified from the outset. And I thought, my God, these women. What?
What are they doing?
I don't understand.
How could they possibly?
I was clutching my pearls, as they say. So I was definitely not being very liberal or open-minded about their activities at all.
Okay, all right. So, I wouldn't recommend it to a friend. Like, I wouldn't recommend it to you if you hadn't read it. But it might be a good book club book, especially if you have different generations in your book club.
Yes.
So, it would because you get that chat, that conversation going. So, we would have to tick it as a good book club choice, but not a recommendation. Remember we talked about the cover of the book, and it had 2 books on it that it said, like, Big Little Lies and the guest list.
Yes.
Neither of us have read the guest list, but it's now on my to-be-read list because it sounds cool. We've both read Big Little Lies. And do you think that because it said, if you like Big Little Lies, you'll like this. Was that...
I think in every now and then when I see a review as part of recommending a book, I always try and pick it apart a little bit about what are the actual words they're using here about saying this review. And I think it's important to note that it said, like Big Little Lies, but with far more spice. And I think what the review was trying to say is nothing like Big Little Lies. There's a whole bunch of other shit going on that ruins the book.
I see your point because sometimes they'll say from best-selling author or from number 1, New York Times best-selling author or something. It's so they're not actually recommending this book, they're recommending the author.
It was nothing like Big Little. Well, I would suppose if you consider a group of women.
Group of women? Yeah.
Then sure. And there's an element of murder in there.
And there's a murder, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that's where it stops.
Yeah. Big Little Lies, I liked that book because the murder, at the beginning of the book, a murder happened and someone's done it, obviously. But you don't figure out until the end who did it and who died. And that's what I loved about that book. Whereas again, we'll come back to the fact in this book, there wasn't even a murder until halfway.
Yes.
And what's more, initially it's a missing person. So I still felt like we maybe even got to 2/3 before a murder happened. Because you had that chunk. Yeah, you had that chunk where it was a missing person. We all knew it was going to be a murder because the back of the book tells you it's a murder. So that was a bit frustrating. So I think we've reached the end of our non-spoiler review.
Yes.
So
I think if you've come for a quick listen to see what you think about the book but you haven't read it yet and you don't want the true views, our true opinions, more than what we've already said on the book being revealed before you've read it, clock out now.
Yeah.
Because we are about to go into...
We're going to get opinionated now.
But if you heard the review, the initial section and thought, yeah, fuck that, I'm not reading that book, but want to hear what we think...
Yeah, then stay, because now we'll tell you why. Okay, so I will start with my review. So I gave it a 4.
Yes.
Now, initially it was a very difficult 3. I think the fact it got a 4 from me was twofold. Firstly, the really frustrating part of the book, I had that big break. So I'd calmed down by by the time I'd started reading again. If I had continued to read, I probably would have still been a little bit more frustrated. So I just found the fact it took so long to set the book up, and all these women are just so stupid. Sorry, I'm not sure if we're allowed to swear. I swear a lot. Have we decided we're swearing? Can I just be my authentic me and just fuck? Okay, great, fine. Okay. Okay, so these women are just, they're so inappropriate. You've got an underage, you've got a woman who's nearly my age, a little bit older than me, having sex with a 17-year-old.
He's 18.
Okay, fine. He's 18.
It doesn't make
barely.
Sense,
but it's also your best friend's son. Like, that's just so inappropriate, and that just made me ragey. And so that concept, plus the fact that it took so long for the murder to actually happen, was why I was down in like the 2s, 3s. But the reason it brought me up to a 4 is that I did not guess the killer.
Yeah.
Which is our first kind of thing that we do, is we guess the killer. And I was all smug and said that I would guess it at the 2/3 mark. Now, the murder had only just bloody happened at the 2/3 mark. And at that point, I think you've got some really obvious people that you might be looking to. But the person who actually did it was just so blindsided me.
We can talk about it.
Yeah, true. And the fact there was a second murder. Like,
yes.
There were 2 murders, I got blindsided. And I didn't figure out who the killer was until right before it was revealed. Like, when she went to the house to see Jill, and Jill's behaviour at their house, I went, oh my God, it's Jill. Yeah. And then I had to sit there and kind of think, like, all the little breadcrumbs along the way for it to being Jill and why it might be Jill. And I was like, oh my God, it's Jill. And then she's like, oh, let's go for a ride on the boat because I'm feeling so upset. And I'm like, she's going to kill you.
Yeah.
She's going to kill you. So I think that for me is why I had to bring it up to a 4. I still would not recommend it to people, but I felt that it deserved a high rating because it did catch me off guard.
See, it being Jill was why I gave it a 2. So to me, I think, like, I had guessed that it was the second person that was going to be suspected of it, which it was not. I think the second person being suspected, if you take out Brad being first, and then obviously our protagonist, Sophie, then becoming central, wasn't Sophie.
Well, I kind of feel like I hadn't suspected Sophie. I suspected Margot.
Yes, but I meant in terms of, like, who the police are investigating.
Oh, who the police are investigating.
The actual suspect. So initially it was Brad.
Yeah.
Once the pregnancy bit was found out. And then they sort of side on to Sophie once Margot. Yeah. The frustration for me is that there was it didn't make sense to me that it was Jill. It felt like one of those things where you do an entire sort of lead up to, it's obviously Margot, or it's obviously Brad, or them together or something, because that would absolutely fit.
Yeah.
Crime of passion, it's all there. Or Callie, even. Like, that element towards the end, I was like, yep, believable.
Yeah.
The fact that it was Jill threw me for a loop because I just thought, I don't see why. Like, I get the overprotective mother thing, but it didn't seem overprotective enough.
I don't think she's an overprotective mother. I think she's a psycho.
Just straight.
I think she's just a straight psycho.
I mean, she was doing an excessive amount of cheating on her husband from the start. Like, she
wasn't having sex with people. Was it Tina's the one that wasn't? Because she was desperate. She was in love with her husband.
She was watching it.
So she wasn't cheating.
And Callie was gay for Margot. Full stop.
Yeah.
That's not going on there. That was a fact. And Jill's the one that was always like grinding on men's laps and when they were out in Dallas, wherever they went.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I just felt at the end there that she was just pure psycho. She wanted her son to have this great big quarterback career.
Yes.
And what's-her-face, Abby, got pregnant and wouldn't have the abortion. I was quite surprised when we had the footage to discover that it was Jill in the video
that was
and not Margot.
That was a good twist.
I thought that was Margot and Callie because that made sense.
Yes.
And I thought it was interesting that Callie was Jill's BFF as well because we hadn't really ever seen that dynamic. But
I don't think they were BFFs. I think Callie went along because she knew it would be what Margot would want. The point is, I gave it a 2 because I thought it was a weak pick. I think there weren't any breadcrumbs. Like, if I looked back through the book, I don't think it was leading towards that. And to me, that feels like a weak pick as who the murderer is. Because you're trying to lead everyone towards one conclusion and you're throwing all these different people in and all of these plot lines that make sense as to why they would have been the one to kill Abby.
Yeah.
But then you throw in Jill, and to me, it was like, it just doesn't feel like enough of a motive.
Maybe, you remember when she's at the house and she's drunk and passes out and then she wakes up and Callie's at the door knocking?
Yes.
Maybe it should have been Jill at the door.
Yeah.
That might have been a crumb.
Add her a little bit more into it, but you could tell that May Cobb was leaving her out of it on purpose to be like, I'll just chuck her in at the end because they won't suspect it.
Yeah.
But to me, if the character who did it is throughout the storyline, but you just don't think it's them, and then it turns out they did it, that is a much better twist for me. And, like, we'll forget about this side character. She wasn't even answering the phone. Like, this was Sophie wasn't calling her on purpose because she's dealing with a lot right now.
Yeah.
So she was intentionally left out of the storyline just to chuck her back in at the end, which felt to me that it was like, there's no good person to pick here that someone wouldn't say they already picked as the killer.
Yeah.
So I've just got to go with this side character.
There was that incident at the pool. So this is way back in the...
So inappropriate.
At the beginning when... So trying to remember, I can't remember what day of the week. Was this one of the Wednesdays?
No, this was a pool party at Jill's house.
Okay, pool party at
weekend,
Jill's house. Anyway, the hunting wives are all there suntanning, and Brad and Jason and Abby rock up. Jamie and Abby rock up.
On the boat. Jill's boat.
Jill's boat, yeah, and Jill's boat. Yeah, but on that scene, Margot sunbathes topless, and Jill gets really upset and cross.
Yes.
So that was kind of a crumb.
Yes.
That she wasn't happy.
But it was implied that she didn't know anything about Brad and Margot sleeping together. Because Sophie's moment in there was saying, oh God, like she could see all the tensions between Jamie, who obviously had a crush on Abby, Abby not knowing about the Brad and Margot situation, Jill not knowing about the Brad and Margot situation, Margot making it weirdly obvious about her situation with Brad. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Jill sort of... I think to me, that scene was setting up that everyone just fangirls and fawns all over Margot.
Yeah.
Because we'll do whatever she wants, even though that was, like, so inappropriate.
Do you think, then, that there were enough crumbs to set up Jill's murder of Margot?
Yes. That one I can agree with. Jill murdering Margot was, like, understandable twist. A twist, Margot dying. I was very confused because I was like, how are we going to reveal that she killed Abby? How are we going to do that? Maybe
a better storyline would have been Margot kills Abby, which is kind of an obvious thing. We all suspected it was Margot, but poor Sophie is being accused of it and set up by Margot. Yeah. And potentially Callie. But then Jill kills Margot.
I think that
might have been a better book.
Margot dying was a great twist on its own.
Yeah.
That was a good twist.
Yeah, I did not see that coming.
You didn't need the person killing Abby to be the twist in that case.
Yeah.
That could be an obvious murder, but the second murder is the sort of twist that you don't see coming.
Do you think Margot had it coming?
Fucking oath. I think Margot absolutely had it coming. I'm also so confused by this woman.
Sophie or Margot?
Both.
I found Sophie incredibly frustrating, especially the spin the bottle night, which is where I stopped reading and had to take a break. When she says to Graham, I promise I'll be home at midnight, I promise. And she's watching the clock, it's like 11:15 and then it's 11:20 and then it's 11:45 and I really must leave, I'll just do another 3 shots.
We'll get to the alcohol elements in a moment.
And then passes out and then gets up and comes home and then the next morning thinks she can make it up to him by getting up and making everyone fucking pancakes.
Well, she didn't go to sleep.
Yeah, she didn't go to sleep but managed to parent the next day. Yeah, he went to a jog, which is
a dog.
I know, which was really bizarre and weird, but she needed to have gone for the jog in order for the other guy, the creepy neighbour.
I think it's
yeah, you're good with names. I'm good with names. Well, the creepy neighbour to have caught her, to exonerate her so the police believed her.
Yes, I was taking notes throughout reading, and as soon as there was creepy Howard with the camera, I wrote in my notes, he's going to see something.
He's going to see something that's important.
Yeah, it's going to come centrally back, him seeing something of importance.
But I didn't predict him seeing something would be what exonerated Sophie.
No.
But I just found Sophie incredibly frustrating. She wanted to move to this small town. She wanted the slow life. She's got the slow life and now she's bored. Like, I understand that she's made a mistake. It's not what she expected. Communicate with your husband.
Yes.
Find a hobby, get a job, work at a coffee shop. I don't know, do something other than what you're doing. Do not start stalking Margot because she admits, we find out in the second half that she was like sitting outside Margot's house in order to catch a glimpse of this woman. So she's been stalking her.
And this was a woman she was stalking on Facebook before she met.
And become infatuated with her, to go off and play spin the bottle with her, have a great makeout session, and then get fingered by a 17-year-old.
18.
18. But I don't care. The point is he is a child. She's getting screwed. Like,
to me, it's less about the elements with the teenagers because I get that they're 18. It's kind of gross, but I was like, whatever. They're not actually acting like teenage boys to me. They just seem like, well, they could be 25 in my head. It's not really like that big a deal to me. And I get that that's going to be a big element for a lot of people, that age gap thing to me. The bigger issue for me is like, if you're that into women, tell your fucking husband.
Yeah, don't have a threesome with.
Maybe he's into it.
Yeah,
Have you thought about raising this as a possibility with him? And pretending that you're not, but then admitting that you are. You're being like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but oh my God, when she touches my thigh. Like, you are into women. What do you mean? You had this one experiment in college with this girl, but it was just an experiment, Graham. Don't worry about it. When she was telling me
I don't think Graham knew.
She did. One of their earlier dates.
She did tell me,
where she'd said, I experimented once, but
it wasn't a big deal.
He got this look in his eyes, like he might be into it, and she went, don't worry, it was just experimenting. Now's the time to bring that up. Dear God, woman, you've been married for like almost a decade. This could be the perfect opportunity. But also, me, I didn't understand the cheating elements at all. I didn't understand the first scene on the boat thingy on the water where she just starts making out with Jamie. Topless. He takes her top off and they start making out. Because to me, she's had sex with her husband like 4 times at this point in the book. She's not exactly dry.
Yeah. So, can we talk about the age gap ick factor?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
So, I found the age gap gross. I think because, as I've said before, I am close in age to Margot, and I have a nephew who is the age of Brad, and I just think that is so inappropriate. They're still so impressionable and young at that age, even though physically they're fully grown. So I just found it just inappropriate, and it just grossed me out. I also hated the fact that it was the best friend's son. Like, that was just a portrayal for me. But I think it's really interesting that didn't affect you the same way. And this is why I think that our age difference and our different positions in life will make our reviews quite interesting, because I could really identify with being these women because I'm of the age and the same point in their life. And I was like, so inappropriate. But for centuries, and I say literally centuries, men have married women with this age gap, and that is normal. And if this book was written in the reverse, and that was a man having it off with an 18-year-old girl, I would not have batted an eyelid. It's because it's reversed that it's different. And I don't know if that's because I feel like women should know better, and we should know that we're more maternal, and we should know that they're still developing and that this is inappropriate and they're too young and impressionable. Or is it just because I'm not desensitized to it because it's not common in society? And we look at, I've seen in the media a lot recently, I don't know why, a lot of cougar relationships. There's a lot of women in Hollywood at the moment who are dating men significantly younger than them, and by that I mean like 15 to 20 years. And it's headlines. Whereas when a man is dating a woman 20 years younger, it's not an issue. It's common. Like, you hear of men getting divorced in their 40s and shacking up with someone half their age. It made me think, like, am I icked out about it because I'm not desensitized to it and it's not common, or am I icked out about it because I could really identify with the age?
I think it's the identification part, because I actually took a totally different approach. When I was thinking about the boys being younger and the women being older, there's been news reports over the last couple of months about teachers in the US. I've seen there's a particular teacher who's sleeping with a teenage boy. The media around that, so different to if it had been a male teacher with a teenage girl. So I know that we treat books differently to real life as sort of a standard thing, but I think there is a completely different approach that people think about it with. Because you look at these female teachers sleeping with teenage boys, everyone agrees, totally inappropriate, but these teenage boys are like, fuck yeah. There's like this attitude of like, yeah, wish my teachers were hot when I was in high school. Like, they're all fine with it. Whereas if it had been the other way, you get that claim of statutory rape, and then well, not claim, it is statutory rape. Then you get the attitude around it is completely different about how inappropriate he's abusing his position of power, all that sort of dynamic conversation. Whereas when it's a woman, people just automatically be like, well, he must be happy about that. That he's getting it. So when I read it in this book, I think half for me was that I'm just thinking about my own age applicable to theirs and thinking, yuck, teenage. But also, like, I'll just pretend they're, like, in their 20s because they're acting like, young men.
Yeah, they were acting older. Yeah. And they're about to go off to college.
Yeah.
And I think that mentally there's a difference once somebody finishes school.
But that's why it didn't bother me as much. Because I think society accepts an older woman with a younger man is less gross, I think, in general society, than an older man with a younger woman. I think that's more frowned upon. Look at Big Little Lies.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
You're a smart woman, Rhiannon.
What can I say?
Now, we have a few things we have to cover off on. So we've done Guess the Killer. We've talked about... Oh, who did I don't think I've talked about who I suspected first. I suspected Jamie. So when we're on the Spin the Bottle night, Jamie comes to the house and everyone keeps making a big deal about the fact that he's flustered and he's been gone. Like, where have you been? There's a period of time that Jamie's whereabouts is unaccounted for. And so I had it in the back of my mind, oh, it's Jamie. And I was super smug about this because I feel like nobody else would have picked up on that. Anyway, did you pick up on that?
I picked up on him being flustered, but then it was just not talked about afterwards.
Yeah, so I wondered if that was a crumb, and I picked up that crumb and I was very smug about it. But anyway, I was completely wrong.
You were wrong, though.
Jill was so far off my radar.
That smugness.
And you've talked
about
it was
Margot.
Yeah.
Which is like an obvious one, but it seemed like it's on her land, it's with a shotgun, it's in the back. All of that to me was like, of course it's Margot. And also she's fucking crazy. So it just added up to me. And I did not suspect Jamie because of his obvious love for Abby. It very clearly to me that he had a huge crush on Abby and thought that Brad was not treating her right.
True, but I thought that's why it was like an accidental kill.
In the back?
Well, I don't know. He's judgy.
It seemed like she was
very judgy, aren't you?
Running away, It didn't
she was.
It didn't give crime of passion to me. Like, it didn't give, choking her.
Can't you see that? Oh, don't you love me? Can't you love me? Bang! No?
No.
Okay, alright,
No.
well, yeah.
Whereas I could see Margot, perhaps Brad is having a conversation with her and she's come to... My impression was that Abby had been dropped at her house by Brad. Brad's gone to get Margot. Abby's furious about this breakup, tracked Brad, followed him to Margot's house, and then came upon them while, Sophie, useless as she is passed out on the couch, came upon them and there's an argument down at the thing. Brad's like, I never loved you, I like this older woman much more.
Yeah.
And Margot just fucking, while they're having this argument, bang, problem solved, right? She's been asking Brad to do this whole time. The man won't do it.
True.
Sometimes,
True.
you've got to...
You gotta take matters into your own hand.
Exactly. And also the part to me about Callie opening the door, and that was the bang. To me, I thought, when I was reading it, that at about 2:45 or whatever, that she woke up to a noise, that was the shotgun going off.
Yeah.
So I was then going off of this whole, love triangle element, which seemed obvious, but also, it made sense.
Yeah, I have to admit that the crumbs weren't quite...
They weren't crumbing.
The cookie wasn't crumbling the right way.
No.
Okay, so we talked about who the killer, now cock count, along with our spice rating. So I would probably give this 2 stars in the spice.
Yeah, low on the spice.
So we had a couple of barely blipped on the radar sessions with Graham, Sophie and Graham, which were just kind of glossed over.
Time lapses, really.
Yeah,
There
just
was a
kind of
kiss,
glossed
and then
over.
after it was over.
Then we've had the topless makeout session.
Yes.
We can kind of count that. We had the spin the bottle session again, kind of.
Blowjob before that.
With the blowjob on the couch before the spin bottle. Then we had spin the
Sophie
bottle.
being a
Then we had the
stalker,
good old fingering session where the whole time she's like, I shouldn't be here. I should be at home. Oh, but I'll just let him put his hands down my
How did I get
pants
here?
and, oh, now he's there. It felt so good. And now I'm in the throes of it and I'm so close to orgasm. But suddenly at this point, I had the presence of mind to be like, I can't do this.
Mind. I think this is really important. This element, really, really important. She goes, but it's not Jamie I want.
It's Margot.
It's Margot.
Oh.
And she goes looking for Margot instead of
Yeah.
going home.
Yeah,
Okay.
going home where she should be because she keeps going on about how wonderful Graham is.
Yeah. She refuses to go home. And then you obviously have the session with Margot. While
That's the
she's
big,
drugged.
the lesbian
which
session,
is
which could have been
never
more
raised.
descriptive. Like, if you're going to go down that path, let's have some description. Let's have some meat.
I think the important element to note there is that the author is quite clearly married and straight. So there's perhaps an element that she just didn't know how to describe
Okay, maybe.
to a level of that.
Maybe. I think there are solutions to that, but okay.
If you're going to give detail, give detail.
Yeah, so we had the lesbian session.
The boathouse.
The boathouse.
Yeah.
Did you want to have a vent about the boathouse? Because I know you said to me, oh my god, the boathouse. And I'm like, no, save it for the podcast. Would you like to have your vent now?
I would. I think there's a logistical challenge with the boathouse, and I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand what elements were going into it that would make sense. For one, Sophie the stalker, again, just watching people have sex. She needs to work on that. It's creepy. Just so strange. Also, why were Margot and Brad at the boathouse? Perfectly good bedrooms. We'll let
True.
that go.
Yeah.
They're against the wall of the boathouse. But the way it's described, and this is where I need to vent because I have difficulty understanding. Perhaps you can enlighten me, Dan.
Yeah, okay.
He is supposedly leaning against the back of the boathouse.
Yeah, so he goes back to the boathouse.
Yeah. With Margot bent over in front of him.
Yeah.
She's bent over in front, and they're going at it, right? So
Yeah.
Margot's, hands on the ground,
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
a bit of traction. She's good.
Yeah.
He then bends down and puts her breast in his mouth. What sort of hamstring quality stretching is going on that then what height difference? I just couldn't understand how he's getting that angle and they're still going. How big is his penis? That's my other question. Because if it's not popping out while he's doing this full, commando stretch underneath, and he's supposed to be the quarterback, he's got to have tight hamstrings. I'm not seeing it.
If it had not taken us so long to position these chairs, I feel like we would have to stand up and act this
have
out.
to figure it out.
Get the chairs back in position.
It's not picturing.
No, I totally said. I just have a problem with people that have sex standing full stop because on the whole men are taller. And therefore, there's just an anatomy issue. And I don't know how they do it. And I'm a very tall person, but my husband is significantly taller than me. And I don't know how it works.
Logistically.
So, logistically, I don't get it. So, you're quite right. I did not think about it that much. I was kind of glossing over it because I was still ragey at this point.
It just took me out of the story. It took me a moment. I had to sit back. I had to close my eyes. I had to try and understand.
I'm trying to visualise.
I was trying to see it from Sophie's perspective, watching it. And
Maybe she's got quite big boobs because in order for him to you couldn't do it with my boob, but maybe she's got big boobs so he could pull it round and have a suckle
or something.
And again, it just because he's so young, sucking on her boobs, she's
I know,
old enough to
motherly.
be his mother.
There was an element of Jamie saying always a mama's boy or something, and I thought disgusting. Why are you saying that?
Yeah, I can't get by the age gap romance. I don't mind age gap romance. I don't mind age gap romances when he's older. but when she's older, I just find it icky.
You biased bitch.
I know the feminist in me.
I'm fine. You know what? I'm fine if they're like 500 and something and she's 18. That's reasonable.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
They're going into another realm. It's fine.
That's totally fine. Even if she's 300 and he's 18.
You'd be fine with that.
Because she still looks like she's 17, so it's fine. They look the same age.
Well,
like Edward, I was going to say Twilight, because but she didn't want to be older than him. She didn't want to turn 18 before she turned into a vampire.
Right, because he was also
because he was stuck at 17. And fair enough. Like, I wish someone could stuck me at 18. Like, I would peaked then.
I'd like to think I'm still peaking, actually.
You are.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Just before we go on to the next thing, can we talk about our pet peeves that were showing up throughout this?
I feel like you want to talk about your pet peeves, so let's go.
Unless they are seasoned alcoholics.
Alcoholism.
Unless they are just every moment. She wanted to have a chat with Graham. Got to crack a beer for this one. And they're like, before they even say anything, they're dealing with like murders and big emotional things. And they're all going, let me just drown my glass.
Yes.
Like, not just take a sip, but also I just chucked the whole thing back.
Mm-hmm. And this might be the ex-prosecutor in me, but the driving drunk.
They are plastered. There is no sobering up by the time they're driving.
No, and I know that, because we spent that time living overseas, I know that the alcohol limit in America is 0.0. I have to get my decimal place in America. 0.08. In Australia, the legal limit is 0.05. So the general rule of thumb for a woman is I have a glass of wine with dinner and then I'm done, to be safe. Whereas my husband feels like he can have 2 beers and then he's still a drive. That's kind of just how we do it.
I'm pretty sure the element is always like a one standard.
They say, yeah. But I'm just saying, in comparison, these women, like when we were in America, my husband would drink 3 beers and stop to ensure that he was legal. These women are drinking like a bottle each
and then
having a power nap for 90 minutes. Oh yeah, and the shots. And then driving home. And at one point, I'm pretty sure this has been the bottle night, she was like, I don't think I'm sober enough to drive. I think that's why she went for the run.
But she was still going for the keys.
Yeah, and that's why I think she went for the run.
Well, you just take that moment with the wine. Speaking of drinking, but it wasn't just the wine. Like, they were having a bottle and a half each over discussions, which they went down to do their skeeting or whatever, and they were downing a bottle each, and then they come back up, and we're talking swigs out of the bourbon bottle, followed by shots of vodka or straight martinis, and they're all downing these drinks. They're not having like a sip here or there. She's like, better hold back. I'll just do 1 shot of vodka instead of 2. I'm sorry.
Or none. How about you say no? How about not being I mean, this woman is 40-ish is what she's pitched at. Has she not gotten over the whole peer pressure thing? Don't we get over that by the time we're 20?
I'm shocked they weren't pulling out coke, to be honest. I'm surprised there wasn't drugs involved.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
The level of drinking that was going on was absurd.
Yeah.
And I get that there's supposed to be a trope of like, stay-at-home wife. What else are they going to do?
And also this idea that they can back it up the next day.
Yeah,
okay, so when we went out for your birthday party, I was written off the next day. So I got home at 3 and I was written off. I could not parent. My husband had to carry the load for the day and I just apologised profusely for being like, I'm so sorry that I am completely useless. I'm just so hungover.
See, where you went wrong was you should have driven home at 3 o'clock in the morning for one.
Yeah, and then got up and made pancakes.
No. Followed up with a run, just a quick couple of miles.
Yeah.
Then had a shower, not slept, and made waffles. You would still be drunk
making
those waffles.
She should have still been drunk making the waffles. Absolutely.
Anyways,
Absolutely.
That's my number 1 pet peeve. Just the level of alcohol consumption.
Yeah,
did not add up to the conversations, the driving, any of that sort of stuff. I was like, I would be plastered.
Yes.
I'm not keeping conversation going at this stage. My other major pet peeve, the level of sweating followed by not showering. I'm sorry, the amount of times where she said she went for a run, it was a lot at the setup of the book where she was going for like daily runs and then would come back and just get changed.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, gross sweaty clothes, I'll just put some others on. You're covered in sweat. That is actually filthy. Like, I don't think I'm a huge germaphobe.
Yeah.
But that's disgusting.
Yeah, no, it was. And this is Texas, and I got the impression it was summer because there's a lot of swimming happening.
So much sweat.
So it's meant to be really hot and sweaty and humid and stuff. And you're right, there's not a lot of showering happening. Yeah, that's pretty gross. They must all stink.
Yeah.
It's like the 1800s because there's no deodorant.
Well, there's no mention of deodorant.
No one mentioned deodorant. You're too busy talking about all the shots they do.
Oh my God, you could have done a sex shower scene.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that they were actually showering. Mm-hmm. That would have mattered to me. That was an unbelievable pet peeve of mine. Yeah. Did you have any? Because I feel like this entire thing was just...
I think the pet peeve for me was definitely the driving while drunk. That really stood out for me and I got really cross about it. And that's at least a part of the reason why I was so angry in the first part of the book. But also, generally, just the inappropriate sexual relationship. Like, that's what... Like, just having sex with people in high school. That's what got to me. Yeah, no, I couldn't handle that. Okay, so favourite character.
Graham, what a king.
And I like the fact that at the end of the book they hadn't gotten back together.
Yeah, he'd moved out. Not sure about that, Graham. I think you should have kept the house.
Yeah.
You should send her ass out to the single apartment. But Graham's my favourite.
I
He's fast, he's there, he's unproblematic. What a king. And he supported her going out on these drunken adventures more than once. When she kept saying she was going to be home at a particular time and wasn't. And then, you know what? When it all came out, didn't hesitate.
Yeah.
Out you go. We love an unproblematic king.
Reminds me of my husband, actually.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Actually,
very happy for me to go out.
While I was reading it, I was like, it's giving Fred.
Yes,
You know?
yes. Very, and then, like, when we went out for your birthday, very happy for me to go out. No problems with me coming home at 3 a.m. because he stalks me on my phone and we've kept in touch. And then parents their children all the next day because I'm just...
Well, you're not making waffles.
Not making waffles because I tried to keep up with a bunch of young people and didn't work out well for my liver. My favourite character was Janie. He just sounded really sweet. I was also pretty impressed with his confidence in going for the cougar. Like, I'm
seeing some hypocritical opinions here.
I know, but
why was she on Brad and Margot for cool with Look, he is...
Judge me.
He's also 18.
He was a nice character. I thought he sounded like a nice guy. He seemed to be a good wingman. He was keeping his feelings about Abby to himself, despite the fact that he was obviously desperately in love with her.
He maintained the alibi.
And he also came through at the right time. When Sophie came to him and said, something is wrong, I need your help, he came through and told the truth when he needed to, which is something Sophie didn't do. Sophie, if she just told the truth, for fuck's sake, then none of this shit would have happened, which was annoying me. Whereas Janie was mature enough at the young age of 18 to go, I need to tell the truth now. She was pregnant. They knew she was pregnant. She went to get an abortion and this was the drama. And that was a turning point in the book because that's what put Sophie on the track to get the information she needed to prove to the police that it wasn't her.
I think you also have to just side point to Jamie being, what a guy, that you have to really suspend disbelief in terms of how the police handled the operation.
Okay, yeah, we'll brush over that. I kind of liked the cop. He seemed nice. He was going with the evidence.
She'd fuck anything.
I got the impression the cop was like, all the evidence is telling me it's Sophie, but my gut is telling me it's not her. So I kind of liked the cop. He might be my secondary favourite character because I pretty much hated everyone else. Although Graham, you know.
Wanda was harmless.
Wanda, she was great.
Do anything wrong. She didn't deserve the hate.
Wanda was
and
good.
You know what? She didn't just give all the information away. She was actually doing a good interview.
Yeah.
Where you don't lead them down a certain path.
Yeah.
And you let them fill in the details. You don't say, well, we've heard all of these things from everyone else. Do you agree with that storyline? You say, tell us your version of events. I'm here for Wanda.
Yeah, I liked Wanda. Yeah, I didn't mind her, but I did like the policeman. Maybe we could do a spin-off with the cop and Wanda.
It's Mike. That's the name of the policeman. Well, I'm nailing
You are
names.
great with the names.
I'm killing it.
Maybe we should write to May Cobb and say, hey,
Spin-off
didn't love the book, but can you do a spin-off with the cop and Wanda? Because I feel like that is a good dynamic.
Yeah. I think they'd be a good little side characters to do a full spin-off series. You call it Mike and Wanda.
Mike and Wanda, yeah.
That's really basic, but you could, yeah.
What was your favourite scene?
Well, we've already talked about the boat shed scene. I think it's my favourite in terms of just, like, pure confusion. It really took me out of it for a moment, being like, what the fuck? I need to try and understand what's going on here. I think outside of that, Jill in her house at the end being like, thank you so much for telling me all of this. Do you want to go for a ride on my boat? At twilight?
I'm exactly the same. That was mine. Like, it was just...
That, you don't read that and then take Sophie's approach of like, yeah, sounds like a good time. Sorry? Does she have no element of,
massive
like,
red flag.
Concern?
She's
got no self-awareness or, like, situational awareness to be like, hey...
But she was convinced it was Margot.
I just think she's stupid. I just think Sophie's really dumb.
Tell us what you really think.
Yeah. Okay, I think she's the dumbest. No, there's been dumber characters in my life. She's up there,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I found her incredibly frustrating. I, too, found the whole, like, reveal of the murder, reveal of the killer, and confirmation that she killed Margot to be the most interesting part of the book and my favourite. Yeah. However, for me, when I think of the book, I can't get past the spin the bottle scene. And I think it's because I found it a little bit confronting, a little bit ick.
Or the bit after.
The actual spinning it.
Yeah.
Like the actual scene where they all had to go kissing each other.
And the boys.
If I think of this book, the first thing I think of is the spin the bottle scene. Now, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm living my childhood. I don't know if it's because it was the first time Margot and Sophie, like, really got it on. I don't know if it's because of, like, my little sweetie Jamie and getting his first pash with the woman he's obviously starting to crush on. I don't know why. But there was a big ick factor. But, yeah, maybe that's, like, my ick scene. My ick scene. Not my favourite scene, but a scene that
in your mind.
Yeah, it sticks in my mind. There's spin the bottle scene.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's... Did we do the cock? Yeah, we did the cock count. We did
yeah.
the killer. We've
Good summary, I think.
I think
if
so.
we haven't turned people off of reading the book now,
don't waste your time.
what are we doing here?
Although we are saying it's still a good book club choice if you want a book that people are going to talk about, because you could, like, I don't know how long we've been talking, but it's been a while. You can talk about this book and it's divisive.
Yes, very much so.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so do you think that wraps up a venting session on this book?
I think I finished venting. I don't think there are... Oh, they say the word scoused, I think. Is it scoused? When they're describing them as drunk, it's... I'm probably butchering this, but it's like COUSED. I think you could make this a drinking game. If you enjoy drinking as much as they do, every time someone says the word scoused, like, oh, well, she was scoused, or I was scoused, or something like that, just drink every time they do it. And not like a wine. Drink like they drink. Take a swig of the bourbon bottle every time they do that, and you will be scoused.
You'll be scoused, and you need it to get through the book.
It's just an insane word that was repeated throughout.
So, at the average rating, you gave a 2?
I gave a 2.
I gave a 4, so the average rating then would be 3.5.
So but yeah.
The murder and makeouts rating will have to be 3.5 then to average us up. Interesting. Sorry, 3.
3. Yeah. Why are we bouncing it to 3.5?
Sorry, I'm 2. Sorry, I'm 4, you're 2, so it's 3. Sorry. The Goodreads rating was 3.5.
We're just below.
So we're just below the Goodreads rating. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty good indication.
I think ours is more accurate.
I read some pretty choice reviews on Goodreads, which I found hilarious. There's a great 1-star rating on there, which was like just absolutely nailed some of my views on it. But yeah, so that's kind of...
You know it when you see it.
Yeah, Chessie, I think her name is Chessie. She gave a great rating, 1-star rating.
Beautiful
Hilarious.
summary.
Beautiful summary. So I think we're probably ready for our next book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited about this one. It's from one of my all-time favourite authors. She's an Australian author.
Yeah.
She does thrillers well.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that this will be a read that is a little bit of a turnaround for us. And hopefully we'll be able to give...
God. So, the book is Exiles.
No drum roll?
By Jane Harper, which is up on your bookshelf. Jane Harper is most famous for The Dry.
Yes.
And The Dry is obviously a movie with Eric Bana, who's just delicious and wonderful.
Gorgeous looking.
And The Dry was a book we had a good chat about, actually.
Yes.
Because we both really enjoyed the book, but we had both very different perspectives on it. But The Dry, you had a really interesting anecdote about how she wrote The Dry.
Yes, so Jane Harper actually started her career as an accountant, I believe. I think it was an accountant. And it's one of those moments where you think, I haven't quite made it in life. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. What am I going to do? And then you look at someone like Jane Harper, who actually wrote The Dry during a book writing...
Yes, a writer's retreat.
A writer's retreat type thing. Yeah, so she signed up for it, and it's actually a course that I have done. So the reason I found out about it was because it was something I was doing, and they were sort of talking about it as this success story. So she wrote it during a writer's course on writing your first book, and obviously was a great idea. Got a whole bunch of support in terms of getting it edited, and she put it out sort of in her 30s, which to me is like just another one of those examples of you don't need to have it all figured out. There's always more time in your life to pivot your career and find your next thing. And now she's prolific. She's put out like 6 or 7 beautiful Australian thrillers.
So she's got The Dry, she's got The Force
of Nature.
Then she's got The Last something.
Actually, they're on my shelf. I should be able to look at these. Last One Out, I think is her newest.
No, it was the last Trooper. I think it's The Last Trooper or The Last something. That's my favourite book. It's one of the only... Yeah, here it is, actually. The Lost Man.
The Lost Man.
The Lost Man. The Last Trooper, The Lost Man. Same time.
The Last Trooper.
So, we've talked about this before. My favourite book is The Last Man.
Yes.
But yours is...
The Last Man. But my favourite's Force of Nature.
Yes,
but
which is
love
interesting.
The scenes of the rainforest in Melbourne, Victorian sort of hills.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people who read The Dry and were disappointed by Force of Nature, but then loved the third book. You're unusual in that you quite enjoy The Force of Nature, and I've seen that movie, but I haven't seen The Dry movie because I can't do that. I found the fact there was a dead kid and the kid very similar in age to my son. But then it's the start of the book. The whole book is on the premise of the fact that the family dies.
Yes,
I just couldn't. I can't deal with dead kids. I'm at the point my children are the same age, so I can't deal with it. Anyway, I have read... So The Survivors also peaked. So I think the Lost Man, I love it, and The Survivors, I really loved that too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the fact that I like Aaron Fawkes.
Yes.
And maybe it's the fact he's AFP and I worked for them and I can identify, and I worked with police officers just like him, or what, I don't know. Whereas The Force he features in The Force too, doesn't he?
He's in Force of Nature as well.
Is it The Lost Man that he's not in? No, he's in all of them, isn't
You're really
he?
testing my memory.
Yeah, I'd have to read them. Anyway, that's the next book.
The point is, we like Jane Harper. We're
Yes.
a fan of hers. This is one of her newer ones. I would say it's not her newest. It might be the second newest.
Yeah.
Been on my shelf for a while. Haven't gotten around to reading it. So, very excited for this one.
There are no... I was just looking... Oh, here. Praise for Jane Harper, a crime writing force of nature, queen of outback noir. So there aren't any recommendations on here like this book is like blah. But I get the impression that it's probably...
I think she follows a pretty standard process. You
Yeah.
get really interested in the characters, and there's a very central sort of crime that you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
And there's always an element to the past. So I think one of Jane Harper's sort of tie-ins that you're always looking at some sort of event that occurred 20 years previously and an event that's going on the current. So you get sort of two concurrent crime timelines.
Like Harlan Coben.
Yes.
He often has I call it the historical murder and like the present murder.
Present day murder.
Yeah, and so you know how like a book plot goes up like this, and you peak with the resolution of the present murder, and then the historical murder is often resolved at the end.
Yeah.
I like that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this book. I think it'd be great. And
Me too. I have very, very high hopes. I think
Yes.
it's going to be a classic Jane Harper.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not quite sure what the Goodreads review is, but we'll have a
find
look
out.
and see what that rating is.
So,
Yes. So when in the book do I think I'm going to guess the killer? I'm smug again. I'm going to say at the 2/3 point.
I'm going to go really early. I'm going to say the first third of the
Okay,
book. I
cool.
think they're going to be introduced very early, and it's someone that you're not going to expect.
Okay.
I think I'm now basing this off of the book we just read. I'm
Okay.
going to be looking for complete left wing, out of nowhere. I'm going to go for someone that's introduced very early,
Okay.
who you don't hear from again.
And what about your cock count?
Jane Harper's not exactly famously known for vivid
No.
sex scenes, so I'm thinking 2.
I was going to go 2 as well, but we can't have the same.
No, go 3.
Okay, I'll go 3, and then I'll
You
be
can go
right.
for what you hope for.
You're right, and I think that the spice level here is going to be pretty mild. I
Very
think it's
low.
going to be like Sophie and Graham. We just gloss over the fact that sex is happening.
Sex may have occurred. We
Yeah.
won't know exactly what's
we
happened.
and we go to bed, and there's this
Wink, wink,
inference.
nudge, nudge.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
that's going to be it.
It'll be low.
But I'm really excited. I have high hopes for this book.
Me too. I think it'll be great.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that's our
Is that?
summary.
It's our first podcast.
Our first podcast. Yay,
first
thanks so
review.
much. Please don't forget to subscribe if you're on YouTube, or follow if you are on any of the other platforms. We will talk about these books throughout the month as we're reading them. We'd love to hear your guesses, your cock count guesses, your killer guesses. If you want to vent, you can do that. You can private message us and have a direct vent, or
Very
you can do
happy
it. Yeah. Or you can do it in the chat. We'll do a post telling you what the book is, and then we can do a post being like a spoilers post being like, feel free to vent here about the book and talk about it. But in the meantime, stay spicy, stay suspicious, and we'll see you next month for Exiles by Jane Harper.